Well, hello there again. Nice to see you. How are you doing?
Just another day in paradise, like every day.
What is your overall feeling? Is it worse, better?
My
Are you
overall
hopeful?
feeling is that slowly the information that people who really understand the cognitive warfare and the financial powers behind it are slowly coming to be recognized. We're starting to see more of that in the United States when people talk about Jeffrey Epstein and Peter Thiel and the hacker Andrew Ornheimer and privatized troll companies, troll farms. People are really starting to get it through their heads here, which is nice. It's good to see that they understand that social media was built as a battleground, and it's being used to gather data on people, manipulate people, target activists, target journalists, people who explain these matters. People are more and more seeing that there's like these coordinated troll actions against them. And as that sinks into the populace, more and more people are realizing, hold on a second, it's these billionaires, these oligarchs, these petroleum companies, these religious extremists who are paying people to engage in trolling behavior. So that's good.
Yeah, it's good that the Americans finally grasps or beginning grasping it, but the Czechs, I don't think so.
Well, that's very interesting because you and I were talking earlier this week, and we found that troll farm.
Right.
It looks to be a troll farm in
Right.
Slovakia, of all places, and it just happened to have the exact same company name as the troll farm set up here in the United States by the Russian oligarch Sergei Grishin that we discussed last time we spoke.
Yeah, exactly. Isn't that weird? Same people meeting everywhere. By the way, your video was attacked by a bunch of Czech trolls, original live Czech trolls. I was like, this is yeah, you can be proud.
I am not just a victim of trolling in the States. I've got international trolling going on. Awesome. It's you're doing good work when there seems to be like coordinated attacks against you, right? And that's basically what I and my podcast co-host have been undergoing for the last 6 years. So
yeah. You have a lot of experience with that, so we can't compete.
I'm sure you'll get it eventually.
Oh, yeah. I'd like to know more about trolling in general, how it started and how it has changed, because I have watched that as well. I've had troll attacks in, 10 years ago. And today I've noticed that there's not only a lot more bots, but there's like nice troll, manipulative trolling. Difficulty, to recognize it is trolling or not.
Like they pretend they are worried about your mental health or so. It's not like aggressive, it's just manipulative, showing the world that you're not well.
Yeah, so that, like, I'm your friend and I'm worried about you, that's known as it's known as sealing, like a seal, or it's also known as concern trolling.
Okay.
I'm not worried about what you say, I'm worried that you're insane, right? So that's one type of trolling. But you want to know about the history of trolling itself is actually rather fascinating. There are sociologists who have done studies on this, and it's funny because a lot of people who are like kind of white supremacists who think that only good things come from Europe, they focus very much on a Nordic tradition known as flyting, Flyting. And that is a game where people insult each other in rhyme, right? And they're like, oh, that's the history of trolling. That's actually not the history of trolling. Because if you go back far enough and you expand your view of the world far enough, there's actually games from like Nigeria called Ikocha Nkocha. And in Ghana, they have a game that's known as, what is that called? Akan, right? If you look more generally across the African continent, they have something called songs of recrimination, right? And these are, it's basically verbal jousting games between two participants. And depending on what tribe you're in, like if you're in if you were in the Igbo tribe, you wouldn't insult someone else's family members because that's off limits, right? You're only allowed to, attack the person. But in other tribes, you attack family members, you make fun of their lineage, blah, blah, blah. So there's this history of trolling as an insult game that goes back millennia, thousands of years. It's really cool because if you look at the United States, due to the slavery, where people were stolen from Africa and brought to America, they actually brought those games with them and they evolved over time. And in America, it became something called the dozens, right? And then after the dozens, it evolved into your mom jokes, like your mama, right? And it's also where battle rap and hip hop come from.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I had no idea.
I would have never guessed.
Yeah.
Africa.
So that's where the history of this insulting game, you can trace its roots back to Africa. There are so many different versions of this game, right? In Galicia, it's called Reguefa. In West Africa, it's called Sanankua. If you go to Trinidad and Tobago, it's called Extempo, right? The Norse people call it Senna. In France, it's called Tamer, your mom. Even in Basque, in Spain, it's Berchala, right? So every culture has this fun little game, that was created of just kind of talking smack back and forth between people. And that, when you do it online, was the start of trolling. But then, as it was being done online, it got nastier. It got meaner. It got more sociopathic, right? It got to the point where, on an individual scale, trolling was used to cause someone to freak out, to lose their minds, to get really angry. And that's when you hear somebody say, "Oh, you're triggered," that's where that comes from, right? We're going to trigger the libs. So you're just going to troll this group until they go
lose their mind. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. And the other kind of direction, and this is really important, and I think your listeners need to understand this. The biggest sites of trolling in the late 90s was a website called Something Awful. And members of the forums there, who referred to themselves as goons, the Something Awful goons, which I was actually one of them back in the day, they would engage in something called raid culture. And they would go to a different website like Tumblr, right? And they would find people that they considered to be easy marks. Insecure kids questioning their sexuality, kids being overly emotional, right? And they would just attack them until they lost their mind.
For fun.
Just for fun, right?
Okay.
It was definitely a sociopathic kind of thing. So from Something Awful, that then moved to a website called 4chan. And 4chan,
I see.
4chan is where trolling took a very, very evil, dark turn, right? And we could trace that from 4chan to 8chan to like Gab and Telegram and Kiwi Farms, which are all websites. And a lot of these websites have body counts. Like, they're proud of the fact that they get people to commit suicide through trolling. That's how twisted the game has become.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's kind of dark. Yeah. But the other thing that trolling morphed into on 4chan was controlling people's reality.
Or behavior.
trolling journalists to get stories into the news, right? Making up controversies and getting news stories published about that. As a matter of fact, if you go back into the history of 4chan, and it has been proven now that Jeffrey Epstein was speaking with the owner of 4chan, a young man named Christopher Poole, aka Moot, M-O-O-T. And in the Epstein emails, there's also an email that shows a absolutely infamous neo-Nazi troll named Andrew Ornheimer working with a fellow named Peter Thiel, who's a billionaire who hopefully your listeners are familiar with. But what a lot of people don't know is that in America, there was a media website called Gawker.
Mm-hmm.
And Gawker was the media company that outed Peter Thiel as a homosexual.
Yeah.
Right?
And he was so angry.
He was so angry, he was looking for any possible way he could find to destroy Gawker. So Gawker made a tactical error, and they published a video in which a famous American professional wrestler named Hulk Hogan, whose real name is Boleya, they published an intimate video of Hulk Hogan on their website. And Boleya, Hulk Hogan, then sued Gawker for, violating his privacy. And that lawsuit was funded
by Peter Thiel.
By Peter Thiel, yes. What a lot of people don't know is at the same time Hulk Hogan's legal team was suing Gawker, members of that legal team who were paid by Peter Thiel were actually engaging with the Gamergate trolls on 4chan and 8chan, where Andrew Ornheimer was working, and they were going directly after Gawker's advertisers with some really nasty things, right?
Oh.
So it was Peter Thiel.
So they basically tried to destroy their livelihood, so their entire income from advertising.
Yep, they destroyed their income from advertising. At the same time, they're making huge financial claims against Gawker. Gawker did end up losing that case because of their loss of revenue involved with Peter Thiel's trolls from 4chan and 8chan. They lost, and eventually.
So the entire troll universe attacked the Gawker, and they destroyed their entire business, including the brand, including the income, including the business partners, everyone around.
Yep, everyone around it. And Gawker is no longer a viable media property. Okay. So Peter Thiel won that one. But a lot of people don't understand that history, right, of how do we get from a game where we're just talking smack and insulting each other to billionaires weaponizing those activities, turning it into possibly illegal actions and attacking targets that they don't like.
And
right?
Destroying their lives or their reputation.
Yeah, you subvert them, you undermine them. And here's a really funny one. And this is a continuation of kind of that history. Is Peter Thiel recently launched a website called objection.ai, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And objection.ai is headed up by a young man named Aaron D'Souza. All right. And what a lot of people don't know is Aaron D'Souza was actually part of Hulk Hogan's legal team that was involved in dealing with the online trolls and coordinating activities.
Oh my God.
So now you've got, Peter Thiel's website, objection.ai, going after journalists, proving them wrong. And there's a distinct historical lineage. You can see the activity. To me, it's kind of amusing, also sick, but it's funny. But a lot of people don't understand this. They don't see the history and the players and the tactics and the strategies. And so that's why I'm here today.
Yeah, thank you for saying this, because I think the Czech audience has still no idea how dangerous and organized these activities might be. And I think it's coming to Czech Republic right now with a part of our government, a political party called Motorista. I don't know how to translate it. So they are just friends of Motorists. So.
Motorists, the drivers.
Yeah, the drivers. It's a political party connected to Heritage Foundation and some fossil fuel oligarch in our republic. And they
So are they
and ugly people?
Are they a conservative right-wing party?
Yes.
Yeah, and they're called motorists because it's like the opposition of Green Deal. So if you hate Green
Opposition of
Deal,
green energy.
love
so
motor oil.
Right.
a lot of
something like that.
oil. So if you drive, you're there. There.
Yeah, so if you look at what's going on right now, weather-wise across Europe, it's very hot. This is
Sorry,
Yes.
Natalií. Sorry. Sorry.
I have a
She's in
towel.
Prague. She has a towel. And a few minutes ago, she
It's
told me,
impossible.
I don't know if I can survive this infinite. I'm dying.
It's horrific.
here."
Yeah.
Well, okay, congratulations. That is, you're experiencing climate collapse, basically. And
Yeah.
next summer is going to be even hotter, and it's just going to get worse. And the reason for this, and we know this, and the petroleum companies know this, is because we burn so much petroleum, we're polluting our environment. We're destroying it, right? I mean, if you look at what's going on with the global south and air pollution, Europe has it easy right now, okay? The droughts and the famine going on across, some parts of South America, some parts of Africa, like the Sahel, absolutely
Crazy.
it's life-threatening, right?
Yeah.
But then you have these companies like the motorists who are like, no, we must have gasoline for our vehicles.
Yes.
And these people are funded by the petroleum industry.
Yeah, we know, but no one believes that in Czech Republic because everyone has a car and everyone thinks, oh, they are just the traditional family worshippers. Oh,
I don't think they think so. I think like most Czechs by now have understood what they are. Don't you think,
I hope
Alex?
so. Yeah, I'm not
Yeah,
sure because
yeah, I do.
I live in the US, so I'm not so in a close touch with the reality in Czech Republic. You probably do.
Yeah, they're horrific. They're so bad and so stupid
Oh
that
my God. It's like
most people know. Yeah.
it's like
But they don't know what to do with them.
Pete Hexet, but stupid and ugly.
And those are pretty obvious social manipulation tools, like creating a new political party. The most dangerous ones, and we have a lot of this going on here in the United States, the most dangerous ones are the ones that appear to be leftist. They appear to be on the left of politics. But when you look at their actions and you look at their behaviors, what they actually end up doing is fracturing the left-wing politics of the country.
Oh my God.
We have people like, and this is just me personally saying this, but you have people like Bernie Sanders, AOC, Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib. They are nominally on the left side of American politics, but when you look at their behavior, it does not benefit the left.
Yeah.
It fractures the left and actually benefits the right, because the right maintains a united front, whereas the left
is fractured.
It's fractured. It's like herding cats. I mean,
they fight each other, and I see that coming to Czech Republic too, because not only political parties, but the important symbols and institutions of our society, which could be a resource of resilience, are fracturing in fight against each other right now.
From within.
Within. Yeah, it's not organic.
Of course it's not organic. It's probably somebody. Generally, you can tell who the fake is by who's causing the biggest problems and making the most noise and accusing their fellow leftists of being not left enough or too far left or
too crazy
don't have the right priorities or whatever. And this is a well-documented strategy. This has been going on in espionage for hundreds of years, right? It's you send an infiltrator in, you divide and conquer your enemy. If your enemy cannot provide a united front,
they cannot succeed.
Yeah. And what this eventually, and you even saw this, let's take World War II. The Nazis had a treaty, an understanding, an agreement with the Soviets.
Yeah.
And this was known as a red-brown alliance, right?
Molotov-Ribbentrop. Yeah.
Molotov Ribbentrop. It's the far right and the far left who ultimately, they're just nihilists who want to destroy everything. They join up and they attack where most of us are, kind of this center thing, right?
Yeah.
And that's a standard tactic that people engage in all the time.
Yeah. Actually, in our country, it goes like they blame each other for being toxic jerks, having toxic behavior, not understanding the fight. So it's not about politics and left and right anymore. It's about blaming, attacking personalities of people like who they are attacking each other for different personality traits, and there is a lot of you are toxic, no you are toxic, you are jerk, no you are jerk, no I don't want to work with you because you told about me and I got an SMS or a text message that you told about me, and it's like everyone's fighting each other in the most important institutions they were supposed to protect our democracy.
Yeah, and that's by design. Yeah, and you will see those type of conflicts where it's not about ideology, or it's not what it can become is a nitpicking of a person's personal habits, the way they speak or the words they use. I don't like the fact you use that word, or
Yeah.
I think you're a meanie. It's not.
Yeah,
You're
this
not
is
doing.
exactly how it goes, and we can see it in 1, 2, 3 major institutions, and then there goes this fight. The Democratic parties. We have the Senate election upcoming in the autumn. And the Democratic opposition is fighting each other instead of making a united front against these fascists in the government. They are fighting each other for positions. Like, this is the shortest way to hell.
So there's an old Latin phrase, qui bono, who benefits, right?
Yep.
Who gets the good?
Yeah.
And that's intentional. And really, you can find a lot of this if you look into who's being funded by whom, right? And honestly, I know this is going to sound silly to a lot of people, but after dealing with it for 6 years, if someone makes accusations against me, I personally have been called anti-Christian, anti-Semitic, Islamophobic, misogynistic, homophobic, anti-white, racist. And you know what? At this point, I'm like, oh, you're going to accuse me of being a toxic person, of being evil? Fine. You know what? You're right. I am. I'm the worst person you know. But that doesn't mean that I'm wrong about these things. And that disarms and deflects the attacks. Right? Sometimes you just have to be like, sure, say whatever you want.
So, and what would you recommend for groups that want to stick together and fight for democracy, and they're infiltrated and they don't know by whom, or they start fighting? What would you recommend, like, to do? I mean,
so the two behaviors that are generally hallmarks of an infiltrator, of a chaos operative, of someone who's there to fracture an organization.
Chaos operative, that's a nice word. I love it.
Chaos operative. It's a chaos agent. It's someone who's there not to unify something, but to split it apart and cause problems.
Okay.
The two behaviors I find that are most often identifiable is if someone drags you apart from the group and starts whispering in your ear about, you couldn't trust that person. That person's bad. That person's toxic. You shouldn't believe them, right? And then the other behavior is the drama. Oh, such and such said this to me, and they bring it out in front of the whole group, and they cause fights in the group.
Drama. Okay.
Yeah. So attempting to influence members alone, secretly, one-on-one. Maybe it's in maybe we have secret DMs outside of the group chat, right?
okay.
That's one tactic. And then the other is causing the drama. Oh, this person's an infiltrator and you shouldn't trust that person, and that person's bad. And, those are the two biggest. If you find people doing those things in your group, chances are that's your problem. Right? Now, I wouldn't necessarily just go out accusing them. I would document that behavior and have evidence of that behavior. So when it comes time to, out the infiltrator, to show everyone the chaos agent, you can pull stuff up and say, here's the conversation where he or she tried to tell me that I shouldn't trust that person.
Yeah.
Right. This is where they're sowing divisiveness.
Yeah.
And most of the time when these operatives are confronted with the evidence of their own actions, they turn tail and run. Now, they could try to fight and argue and complain and blah, blah, blah. But as long as you have everything documented, what can they say?
Okay. Thank you. This is actually very helpful, because that we cannot succeed in the autumn in the Senate election or later, because they are trying to apply the Project 2025 in a short time span in our republic, so fast as possible. We cannot succeed if we split or if we start blaming each other from different.
I think more people,
minor behaviors.
More people on the left everywhere. And I don't, just because I have a problem with leaders, because I think leaders tend to exploit groups for their own benefit. If you look at how Magyar is taking apart Orban's machinery in Hungary, that is the type of leadership, strategy, tactics that more people, I think, should adopt, right? Exposing the corruption, exposing the lies, finding the infiltrators, outing them as, you're a problem because you're getting money from this person over here or this group over here, right? You're a problem because you're tied to these fascist movements like the Heritage Foundation in the United States. That is not acceptable. I'm kind of disappointed that I live in this period of history in my country. I love my country. I think America's great. We got burgers and motorcycles and rock and roll, and but we also have, unfortunately, fascists who, through their actions, are killing millions and millions of people around the world. The Elon Musk's cuts to USAID, they'll end up killing at least 1 million, if not more people. You look at the deportations, sending people to countries they're not even from. People are dying. People are dying in ICE custody. ICE has shot 2 Americans on the street. I love my country, but right now I'm ashamed of my country. And hopefully you guys don't have to go through that same thing.
Yeah, we right now go through that same thing. We are just at the very beginning of the trouble.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at the history of the Democratic Party from like 2014 to today, you have these infighting factions, some of whom are good actors, some of whom are bad actors, and that has kept the left in the United States from offering cohesive resistance to the fascists under, Trump and Thiel and Musk and all the other ones, all the people connected to the Epstein network. And we see their tactics, we see their troll farms, we see the manipulation on social media. The reason in the United States that our media is being consolidated under billionaire control. You have Larry Ellison with Paramount Plus and CNN and Barry Weiss, right? If you look at who's controlling the information that's going into the population, you should be able to see the warning signs of what's going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Can I ask one last question? Have you noticed something Sasha and I are actually watching live, is that we're watching the influencers and the not podcasters. It's mainly like on Instagram, these little small opposition groups. And all of a sudden around these Epstein files recently, we can detect which ones are paid by Russia. Have you noticed that all of a sudden
some parts of them.
Some parts of the opposition are getting information that is true, but it's consolidated, and it's definitely from Russia. That's Russia. I think it's mad at Israel, and it's releasing the Epstein files.
And I have noticed that. And actually, if you look at American politics right now, especially in the GOP, it's becoming very obvious who is paid by Russia, who is paid by Israel, who has ties to the Epstein files, who's being blackmailed to keep their mouths shut about the Epstein files, right? I mean, you look at one of my own senators, a man named John Husted, right? He took, I forget what the exact number was, 150,000 or 1.5, whatever the number was. He took a bunch of money from somebody attached to the Epstein files and then immediately turned around and voted against the release of the Epstein files, right? What I have noticed as I've been taking apart these networks is the number of national intelligence services or former intelligence services, current military or former military, privatized influencers, right? To really get into all of this and how it works, you got to go all the way back to the late 1800s, early 1900s in Russia. And there was a school of philosophy called Cosmism. And one of the philosophers, he created this idea of the noosphere, all right? And the idea of the noosphere is basically human consciousness as it envelops the globe, but also the information and the data that informs that global consciousness, right? And so when you see things like the Epstein files weaponized, just in little drips and drabs, right? Not giving you an overall picture, but when you see things like that weaponized, that is cognitive warfare altering the noosphere to benefit malignant forces, right? Some of the best ways I've found to counteract that is both Dadaism and post-structuralism. Utilizing those things, you can take apart the tactics of these influencers, right? And really, you got to kind of understand the basis of cognitive warfare. You have to understand the basis of, what is information warfare. When we talk about winning hearts and minds, right? It's not about brainwashing people.
And not about facts.
It's not about facts. It's about influencing people. Why do you think they call them influencers? It's about influencing people to alter their perception of reality, to make them more malleable to what your side wants them to think, right? And this is being done. It's being done across Europe, across Africa. You guys should talk to a Philip Obagi Jr. about all the troll farms that are being set up in Africa by Russia and other countries to influence
African population.
Yeah.
How they do it.
Yeah, it's global. It's happening to all of us. Anyone who uses Facebook, Instagram, Twitter,
or mobile,
websites, fake news websites. This is all it's all cognitive warfare meant to alter what they colloquially call the noosphere in an attempt to promote an authoritarian takeover of not just certain countries, but ultimately the entire globe.
Wow. Thank you.
Certainly.
That was something. That was pretty much something.
They're just astounding.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I'm high.
Even better.
So that's perfect. That's a perfect end.